All right, welcome back to another episode of DB Sports with myself, Joel. I have a special guest today, Matt Gaver.
What's up, Joel?
What's going on, man?
Been a minute since I've been in here.
Yes, it has. We've had a lot of memories, a lot of stories of
Yeah.
us getting in that ring right here.
Oh yeah. We've gone back. I mean, shoot, when did I come in here? When did I start training here?
I think it's
Probably like 2018 or 2019,
somewhere around there.
something like
Yes,
that.
I believe so.
It's been a good time. Got a lot of good memories in here. A lot of sweat and blood, and I miss this place. But times change, and we move on, and um, right now I'm training at another local professionals gym
Yeah.
here in Bakersfield. His name's Joel Iriarte,
Shout
and
out to Joel doing big things right now.
kid's a up and coming star. Make sure you guys go check him out.
Mm-hmm.
Some other guys out there, Stevie
Yeah,
Sakal.
Stevie.
Um,
He has a lot. I know Temo has a lot of kids.
Temo has
A lot
of
of
kids,
amateur
man. A
kids.
lot
Yeah,
of
good
amateur
kids.
kids. Good kids. But you know what? This gym right here has a lot of good kids in this
Yeah.
gym, man. A lot of good talent. They work hard, and yeah, I got a lot of respect for this gym, the coaches, um, Thilo, even though we don't train together anymore. I got a lot of respect for him, the time he puts in for the kids. That's where he needs to put his time, is with the kids, man. With the kids, the future is theirs, It's not about us,
Yeah.
So
What do you think about a lot of the talent? Because you did boxing, you did a good amount of amateur fights, some pro fights. What do you think about the talent that we've had here in town throughout the time frame?
I think I think we've had some really good talent,
Mm-hmm.
actually. I'm not too in depth with everybody that's been here as far as back in the day, but I know
Yeah,
we've had Jerry Corey, we've had
Billy Bailey,
Billy Bailey,
Mike,
Mike Dallas Jr., uh,
Miguel,
Miguel.
Red Caveman,
No, what's the other guy's name? He's
Cheddar. We had Cheddar
no,
for a moment.
older cat. He does concrete. His name is Manu. No,
Oh, Manu
Manuel
Casada.
Casada. Yeah,
Yep, yep.
Manny. We got So then you got the younger generation, our generation. You got Caveman, Jetta. Um,
It was you, Derek.
yeah, yeah. There's a lot of good fighters, man. I think some of us haven't been dealt the hand in life that we feel we should have, but that's life,
Yeah,
and that's what boxing teaches us, is to just roll with the punches, you know. Um, you get back up and you keep trying. I don't know how the other guys, or where they're at in their journey.
hmm
Some of the other local fighters. Um, I know some of them have recently faced adversity in their careers,
yeah,
and I don't know if they're still pursuing it or if they're fighting still, but just don't give up. You know what I mean? Just always keep swinging, always keep punching.
yeah.
Um, Look at me, for instance. My record is horrible. Got a horrible record, but I tell you what, man, I always put on an exciting fight. I always show up to fight. Um, and a
You were
lot of
always a dog.
and a
It
lot
was
of
never fun sparring you.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I feel like I've kind of lost who I was when I first started boxing,
hmm
and it's something that I'm kind of trying to find again. Is like I still have the dog in me. I still fight hard and fight well, but I feel like the fire I once had back when I first started, it's just it's not really there anymore. I mean, it's there, but I
hmm
think it's just life has its way of taking our attention. We get older, we get families, we get careers, and if we're not making it big, especially for us fighters in the valley, it's like
Yeah.
it's boxing is a very cutthroat business. It's so hard to make it to the top, and very very little reward if you don't make it to the top.
Yep, it takes a while.
And so between work and family, it's hard to just balance life and really stay in the gym consistently when you've got, if you've got issues at home, if you've got issues at work, if you're if you're self-employed or you're working for yourself and you're always trying to chase work, it's like those things demand your attention first and foremost. You know, providing for your family.
Yeah.
Um, but I definitely want to finish this year strong. I feel like I've had a couple fights, or I've had one fight this year so far. It was a great fight.
You're gonna try to get one or at least one or two more in.
I want to at least get two, at
Yeah.
least two at the minimum. God willing, we could get three in,
Hmm.
but two would be awesome.
Yeah.
That's what I would like. Going back to the record thing, my record is, I think, 3-11-3,
Yeah.
and if you look at a lot of my fights, a lot of them were controversial. Even my last fight,
Yeah.
I felt that I either edged it out or it should have been a draw at minimum.
Hmm.
But you go into these people's backyards fighting undefeated guys in their hometown, you really have to take it to them. You really have to make sure you're on your A game, and if you get them hurt or you see they're fading, step on that gas pedal. And it's like, I feel like that's one thing that I haven't been doing is I'll realize I have the guy hurt, and I'm not stepping on it. I'm not, I'm
Trying to finish him.
trying to finish him. I have you get that mindset where it's like, oh, I think I edged it out, or I think I won, so you can kind of kick back or just make it through the fight. And that's not the way to do it. They say don't leave it in the hands of the judges, and that's the reason why, because boxing is not fair. So
Yeah. No. Especially if you're not the A side and you're just a visitor guy coming in their eyes.
yeah, exactly.
How was it doing some of those pro fights? Because I did over 10 amateur fights. I don't know how many you did.
Dude, I only had 4 amateur fights, and then my old coach Tilo said, "Hey, dude, think you got what it takes to
Turn pro.
turn pro?" And I did. I wish I would have had a little bit more experience in the amateurs, but
Yeah.
at the same time, what am I gonna gain from it? You know what I mean? I had risk of injury, wearing myself out. I was already, I think I was 19 or 20 years old when I turned pro, so I didn't really have much time to stay in the amateurs.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, uh,
A little harder when you're in your 20s and thinking you're going to get, unless you're going to fight the guys with 40, 50, 70
yeah,
fights. And then,
yeah. But what I did have the advantage of is being in Bakersfield and having the local talent we have here to be able to work with. I feel like really what helped me get ahead and put me on a professional level and able to compete in the pros is having the early sparring partners like Miguel,
Yeah.
Jetta, um, everybody from the Valley up in Lindsay.
Mhm.
In fact, they just helped me, a team from up there, the Varelas,
Yeah.
Ivan Varela. Shout out to Ivan and his father and his brother for helping me on my last fight, filling in at the last second, because I had actually went down there by myself with no coach, no corner, and I seen them.
And they helped you out?
Next to me, yeah,
That's
and
really
they
good.
were in the blue corner too, and the commission was supposed to have people show up to be in your corner, but the guys never showed up.
Yeah.
So I asked them, and they were like, "Yeah, we got you, mijo." And yeah, so that was really cool of them, man. There's been a couple of times where I've gone out to some fights by myself, and honestly, I feel like it's been those times that I've done really well.
Oh, did you? You think so?
Where I feel like nobody's there behind me, and I'm like stepping out just in faith, believing in myself, and like maybe it's the fact that I don't have somebody yelling at me in the corner like what to do, and like I feel like I'm just flowing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I'm in my own zone and I'm doing my own thing. I may not be boxing as good as I should be, but I'm fighting. And a lot of these guys, they either don't know how to fight or they don't know how to box. And I think that's where you have to, figure out your opponent and figure out if they're a good boxer, make it a dirty fight.
Yeah.
Get in there and fight this guy and turn it into a rough fight for him. Make it a long night. If they're a brawler or a fighter, obviously I fought a guy named Michael Myers, And man, shout out to Michael. That was one of the toughest guys I ever fought, man. One of the hardest hitters I've been hit by. Been hit by a lot of people besides Joel. Joel hits like a freight train
Does he?
at the 147-pound
Oh,
division.
okay.
He hits like a freight train, bro. But Michael, with those 8-ounce gloves, man, I got sucked into trying to make it a firefight the first couple rounds, and it wasn't going so well for me. The third and fourth round, I started moving and picking my shots and sticking to my boxing, and I realized, man, if I would have done that the whole night, it would have been a different night for me. So some guys, you know, you got to box. Some guys, you got to fight. But I've learned a lot throughout my journey in fighting, you know, just how people aren't always there for you and they say they're going to be there for you, or,
Unfortunately, that is sometimes in the sport, yes.
you know, life lessons, you know, in general. Yeah, it's been a roller coaster. Boxing is not always an uphill climb, you know. It's highs and lows, and I think the biggest thing in boxing that's not really talked about is fighters' mental health, making sure like a fighter is in the right place, in the right mind, you know. I feel like you know, I mean, boxing's a very lonely sport.
Yeah.
And as fighters, I feel like we tend to close ourselves up to reaching out to people or talking to people. We're always so focused on the next training session,
Yeah.
or
The next fight,
the
get
next
ready,
fight,
get ready.
and we don't really talk about what we're going through or what we're dealing with. And honestly, I don't even think a lot of us fighters know what we're going through ourselves. You know what I mean? For the longest time, I didn't know that I was dealing with, you know, a problem with alcohol. You know, I used to drink a lot. Still something I try and overcome is not drinking every day, you know, whether it's a shot or whether it's a beer. You know, you, especially being in the work world and you know, in a high stress environment, you can call it me being weak, but I'm human, you know what I mean? If I feel like drinking a beer, I feel like it's like I'm just like, man, you know what, I'm just gonna drink a beer, you know. I don't got time to go to the gym.
Yeah.
um,
It's more easier to relax your body to
correct.
than hitting a 1 hour workout in.
But
all the way in the gym.
at the same time, I catch myself and I tell myself, like, it's just an excuse, you know what I mean? I'm just making excuses, and I think that's where I've really got to watch where my life is going and correct myself and say, like, nah, like, basically, if you got time to drink this beer, you know, you can go do something proactive, you know what I mean? But it's a lot easier said than done. And you know, I feel like that's been one thing that I wish I would have had more discipline in, is my consistency throughout my career, is, you know, not having to fight and then taking a month off. I mean, it's been a month since I've been back in the gym for my last fight. And, you know, I can say it's life and whatnot, but you either really want it or you don't.
Yeah.
And, you know, as far as like what I think boxing is, what my journey is for boxing, I know it ain't to be a world champion. I know it is not to, you know, maybe even be on the elite level. I know I have what it takes to be in there with somebody in the top 10, but I know that I've got a lot of work to do. And at this point in my life, I feel like I want to open up my own company, whether it be a plumbing company or a construction company or whatever it may be. Most likely plumbing.
Yeah.
I want to use boxing, you know, instead of boxing using me, you know, which is what it's been doing basically this whole time. You know, the boxing world will use you and throw you out and leave you leave you shook, your money took,
They'll
and
use you for the next one.
yeah,
They'll move on real quickly.
exactly. So, you know, find a way, if you've got talent in boxing and you're out there, you know, doing your thing, but you realize like you're not getting where you wanted it. And one thing is inevitable: our time is limited, and we're not going to be able to do this forever. Make the most of it that you can. Play your cards right, and make the most of it as you can. Get your bag and get out. You know, that's what the goal is to enjoy your love for the sport, make a living doing it. Maybe not make a living, but put your money aside to get ahead and get out without any brain injuries. You know what I mean? And I mean, dude, I've had ruptured eardrums. I've had concussions. I've had, cuts, lacerations, my ribs have been hurt, where you can't even lay down right. You can't sleep right. You can't, for weeks. And boxing is it demands a lot on the
Yeah,
body
a lot. And mental. It's
and
not just
mental
this, yeah.
and mental. And I could say from before I started fighting to now, I don't feel the same. I feel like it's taken a toll on me. You know what I mean? It definitely has. The weight cuts. I've been notorious for doing the weight cuts wrong.
Yeah.
But it's because, dude, I get last minute calls and they
You're
expect,
heavy.
yeah, I'm heavy. They expect you to cut 15, 20 pounds in a week, 2 weeks. And, you know, at the time, a good payday sounds nice,
Yeah.
$3, 4, 5, $6,000. You're like, heck yeah, sign me up, but in the moment, you don't realize what you're putting your body through. And we end up paying for it down the line. Now, if I don't have a good solid camp, I can't cut weight the way I used to. Even with a good solid camp, it's like I can't get down to 140 like I used to be able to. Um, it's been a lot of learning lessons for me, So, yeah. Anyways,
We get into the lot of the guys you spark. I think you pretty much have sparred every high amateur to high professional we've had in town here. Tell me what your experience like you got in there with Mike Jr.
yeah, with
And
Mike,
he's probably one of the highest up guys
yeah,
we've ever had from Bakersfield, honestly.
yeah, we've had plenty of sparring sessions, man. I'll tell you what, Mike hit me with a left hook one time. I remember I was right on these ropes. He hit me with the left hook, and man, I was out. Hit me with the left hook, and then he hit me with the right, and the right woke me up, and I was like, man, I gotta move. Like I was out on my feet. He hit me with that left, and I was just like, I was wrong. I didn't even know what hit me, and then he hit me with a right hand, and it just kind of woke me back up, and I realized, dude, I got to get out of here. I got to move, and what I can say is that after every time somebody's had the upper hand on me through a sparring
Yeah,
session,
yeah.
I love the fact that Tilo was always there to give me some guidance or pointers on what I was doing wrong, and I'd come back the next time we sparred, and I wouldn't be the same fighter. I would always make those adjustments,
Yeah, which
and
you
I would
should. It's the job,
and
yeah.
I would end up getting the upper hand, And we can all say, oh, we had bad days, we had good days, but at the end of the day, it's like we're in there, we're sparring, and regardless of their level of experience, because I've sparred a lot of guys that have way more experience than me, and they might be like, oh, well, I just wasn't feeling good. Well, I get that, but there's days where I wasn't feeling good, and it's like I can't use that as an excuse. You know what I mean? And that's why it's so important that when we come in here, we make sure that we're focused, our mind is clear. We're not thinking of all the outside external factors of life. Because when you come in here, you come in here for one thing, and that's to what? It's to hurt
Train.
somebody. Hurt somebody. When you get in that ring, it's to hurt somebody. And yeah, I would say out of all the guys that I've sparred, honestly, man, I don't mean to hype anybody up, but Joel is a hell of a boxer. There was one other guy that I sparred with that was really good, and I think he made the wrong decision of retiring, but his name is George Acosta, George L. Acosta.
Where was he from? Bakersfield?
He lives in Bakersfield now. He
Oh,
moved
okay.
to Bakersfield. I believe he was down in L.A., somewhere down there, but he's always on doing like commentating for some of the promotions down there. I think he was commentating for a while for was it Roy Engelbrett? They took all my photos down.
Yeah, yeah.
But the fight where I fought Michael Myers, I think it's OC Fight Club.
Yeah, yes, OC.
And then there was another one that he commentates for. But anyways, George is a very technical boxer. I remember asking him, why why are you done? Why are you hanging it up? And he was saying that he just feels like he's not transitioning his sparring to his fights. Like he sparred world champions. He sparred very very high level boxers
Hmm.
and got the upper hand on them.
Yeah.
Definitely won the sparring matches, but it's different, being in
Sparring is different
sparring
than
and
in the
then
ring.
going into your fights, and if you can't make that transition, you know, you're not going to do so well. Which vice versa, you cannot be the best sparrer. You know what I mean? When you're in there sparring, you might not be doing so well. You might get touched up a lot of the times, but there's guys that everybody's beating up on them in sparring, but when they go fight, it's
Hmm.
like they're a monster out there.
I've heard that a lot about De La Hoya. Back in his younger years, he was not a very good sparrer.
Wow,
He would get beat up a lot
wow,
by a lot of dudes. But again, I don't know if he just put himself in there because back in the days he was sparring the Pereiras a lot,
yeah, yeah,
Morales, Chavez Senior a
wow,
lot, and he would admit he would get beat up a lot, and then you'll see him go in there, and he's beating the shit out of people. But
wow,
again, that's again like you just said, sparring's one thing because it's technically 16-ounce gloves, 14s,
yeah,
depending
yeah,
on who you're
yeah,
sparring.
yeah.
It's a headgear. I've
Hmm.
heard of dudes talk about how when they got in there with Canelo, they've beat him up. Michael
Wow,
always told the story that when he first went in there with Pacquiao, I think they
wow,
did 5 or 4 rounds, and he said he goes, I beat him,
wow.
but he goes the second time, third time it was a little bit different. He goes, but look at
Yeah,
Pacquiao, look how great he was,
yeah,
and I sparred him a few times, and it was different.
yeah.
Yeah, but sparring is different
Sparring.
than a
Yeah,
pro fight.
exactly, exactly. And I mean,
Mikey Garcia's supposed used to beat up Madonna when Madonna was the Broner days, the Floyd when he was fighting them.
yeah,
Um, um, Mikey would talk about how he would always beat up on Madonna. He broke his ribs multiple times in sparring sessions. But
wow,
Madonna was over there. Look how great he was performing. And that was Mikey. That was a very prospect at the time.
wow,
So it's sparring
wow.
is just sparring. It's just that's not the ring.
Yeah, yeah. Which like even you get high level amateurs that they're even Olympians. Back in the day, there's been Olympians that have tried to go pro and they didn't do anything with their
Hmm.
professional career.
There's a lot of Olympians.
Um, the nothing can really ultimately prepare you for a fight. I feel like Mike Tyson said, everybody has a plan until they get hit in the
Hmm.
face, and it's the truth. You have this whole game plan going into this fight, and you get hit with a punch, and that game plan goes out the window. But that's why it's so important to be in the gym
Yeah.
consistently, drilling, repetition, repetition,
Hmm.
repetition,
Hmm.
instilling it in your brain to where when you do get hit or you do get caught, it's a reaction. And I think that's what's helped benefit me is how much when I was here at this gym, I've we drilled, not sitting on the ropes. I used to early on in my fights, I'd have a problem with sitting on the ropes and not feeling like I'm in danger. But
Yeah.
when you're sitting on the ropes, not only is it bad positioning, but it
It
looks
looks
bad.
bad. Yeah.
It
It
looks
looks
bad.
bad
The
to the
judge, the
judges.
judges, it looks horrible. They think that the other guy has got you cornered or
Hmm.
trapped, and all the repetitions of moving off the ropes, getting on the ropes, moving off the ropes, getting on the ropes. He's coming at you. Move, get off the ropes. When I've got into some of my fights, I've gotten hit in several of my fights with some punches that have stunned me. I
Yeah.
may not have showed it, but what's helped me survive and finish the fights and not get hurt is the fact that I was constantly in the gym. I was constantly in the gym. You know, that's why it's important to be drilling everything. A lot of boxers, they want to do all these fancy drills, and that's not what I feel like. What makes a good fighter? What makes a good fighter is the basics.
Yeah.
A
A
strong
lot of
jab.
basics.
Throwing, which I'm guilty of it. Sorry, I'm guilty of it. I stopped training that way, and I
Hmm.
feel like that was my downfall, and that's why I need to make my correction. Is, dude, one round throw nothing but jabs, hard jabs. Another round throw nothing but right hands. Another round throw nothing but hooks. Another round mix it up. You know what I mean? But the biggest thing, one of the biggest things that helped me was When in doubt, jab it out. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you get caught in there and you don't know what to do. Throw that jab. You know, throw a stiff hard jab. I feel like a stiff hard jab can take any fighter off their game plan.
Oh yeah,
You know.
it makes it hard for them to come in, and it helps you getting out.
Yep. They could be on a flurry on a rally and catching you with some good shots. And if you just throw a hard jab and it catches them good, they're gonna be like, "Whoa, what hit me?" And they're gonna have to rethink and recoup on what they're doing next.
Yeah.
Um, anyways, what's up with you, man? How's your journey with the kids in here, man? I know you're seeing them grow and seeing a lot of their development. You know, you're in here all the time. I commend you for that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you live here. This is your second home. You're always
Yeah,
here.
pretty much, man. It's Monday through Saturday. Well, from here to body exchange, because I do a little bit of body exchange too, helping some of those kids over there too. It's a journey, man. It's this. It's
Yeah.
a long journey, especially
Yeah.
with the kids.
Yeah,
Trying to get them to believe in themselves.
that's awesome.
A lot of it to believe in themselves too. Because I have like about five that are you could go compete.
Okay.
But just getting them to believe themselves and
Yeah.
be more consistent. That's the thing. Getting them to be consistent.
I think you mentioned getting them to believe in themselves. I think that's one of the biggest things I see with a lot of talent with fighters that have talent is just getting them to see that they have what it takes. I feel like for the longest time I didn't in life growing up I didn't really think I had what it took to be in a ring with another man.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's really what drove me to start boxing or to even start fighting is that I always doubted myself that I had what it took, and instead of running from that fear, I wanted to face it and prove to myself that I could be in a ring with another man
Yeah.
and nobody else there to protect me. And honestly, Tilo played a big part in that. He when I came to train here, he treated me like a son. As far as the way he talked to me, the way he coached me. He would always tell me, "I love you, kid." And I never really had somebody believe in me like that, So it meant a lot to me to have a man in my life,
Yeah.
kind of just give me the courage that I felt like I was lacking,
Mhm.
and that's why I respect him. And it sucks that I'm not here anymore, but people are like seasons at times, it's they come and go. Not everybody's meant
Yeah.
to stay,
If it was up to me, I still would have Coach G in my corner doing some
Appreciate
of
it,
this, but it's
you know?
just the way it is life.
Yeah, he got busy. He opened his new company. He's doing well.
Mhm.
Happy for him. But I know one of the things that irritated him was, like I mentioned before, my lack in consistency. The fact that I would have a fight and I would take too much time off and I wouldn't be back in the gym. And I get it. I can say, well, I have a job. I'm in a relationship, And in a coach's eyes, it's just excuses.
Yeah.
And it just shows him that you don't really want it. And it's not fair to the other kids that come here every day that do want it. And so I understand his frustration with me. But at the same time, I feel like there was a level of respect that I felt like I wasn't getting from him. And respect to me is everything. And I felt like, that was the determining factor that I was just like, man, you know what? Like, I'm just going to train on my own, or I'm just going to, do my own thing,
Yeah.
I go to, Joel's gym and I don't get, one-on-one coaching. I don't get, I will say this, they have a personal trainer that
Yeah.
does strength and conditioning. They have a nutritionist on the team that helps with the diet plan. And I feel like I may not get the coaching that I need, but Tilo's given me just about almost everything that I need to really be successful. I just need I need the camaraderie. And over there, I feel like there's other guys that are going through the same journey, that are, going through the ropes, that are there every day to try and pick you up.
It helps you push you.
It helps push you. And, so I feel like there's more of a camaraderie there, you know what I mean? As far as you know, I'll keep it real. You know, when I would come in here, sometimes, you know, guys would come in and it's like they're 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 not on the same page to try and build you up. It's like it's a competition. And
Yeah.
it's like I feel like and it sucks that it is even like that because we're all from the same city, man.
Yeah.
Whether you're from Lindsay or you're from the Valley, if you're from the Valley, like bro, we're all here to put California on the map and put the Valley on the map. And you know, uh, Coach Varela told me that when we were at my last fight. He was like, "Look, he's like, Mijo, we're all from the same place."
Yeah.
He's like,
We should all should help
you
each other.
know,
There's enough
we're
sparring here in town to
you know,
help each other.
and so you know, let's help each other, guys. You know, let's build each other up. Let's you know, even Miguel, you know, and Cheddar, like. I would love to even spar with them again and be a part of their journey again, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Talk to us about that, Zach. I remember you guys. I was not here at the gym at the current moment when you guys were doing your little
Yeah.
sparring sessions. I would hear a lot. There was a lot of wars between you guys. From
Oh,
here,
yeah.
I believe in district, you sparred
yeah,
them a
back
few
in
times
district,
in district.
when it was, what was it over there? Kern County Fight Club or
I
something
believe
like
so.
that? You know, we had a lot of wars, you know? In the beginning stages, I would always be getting beat up, but it little by little, I started making the adjustments and that wouldn't happen anymore. I would start getting the upper hand. There would be days where I would freaking put it on them, both
Yeah.
of them, and I would take it to them. Or there would be times where I'd get dealt with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd get a good sparring session. You know, they'd give me their work, and that's what it's about. But I feel like what happened was the coaches tried to get involved as far as his coach, and it was me and Miguel never had anything bad between each other.
Yeah.
Like any of the fighters, you know, it was always, you know, good energy. You know, if I seen them, it was like, hey, what's up, bro? You know, I always see him out there running on the streets, putting in work. You know, I got respect for the man. But when coaches want to step in and be disrespectful, it's like it's a different thing. And it's like I don't even have anything against Danny, you know, except for there was a day at the they had PBC came to town.
Yeah.
And he came at me sideways because word had gone around that I was talking bad about Miguel, and I wasn't. And word got distorted to him, and so he felt like he needed to come and defend me for Miguel or stick up for his fighter.
Yeah.
But it's like, dude, you're a grown man, bro, and he, like, what? Even if I did say something about him, like, bro, let me and him handle it. You know what I mean? There's no reason for a grown man, a coach, to get involved in another man's business. And to give you the background on what had happened on the bullshit that they said was said. Um, there's a smoke shop over in Bakersfield off of Olive and Coffee, Coffee and Hageman. And I had pulled up one night to go get some nicotine pouches, and this guy, his name was Ashraf, and I don't even want to put anybody on blast. I shouldn't even have said his name. Bleep his name out if you want, because I don't want to put anybody on blast. But we had started talking about religion, and I had a couple drinks in me, and there was a lot of like debating going on, and they not even debating. I felt like they were attacking my religion, and I was like, man, like it's so funny. I'll get down for people, but I'm gonna get down for Jesus. You know what I mean? Like people start talking bad on the name of Jesus, like, man, I'm gonna get down. You know what I mean? And that's how I felt. I felt like it got like this frustration out of it brought this frustration out in me. But I realize now, even growing from then till now, is like that's not how we're supposed to combat people that are angry or people that get their emotions stirred up. The Bible says to combat evil with good.
Yeah.
And love your enemy. And not saying they were my enemy, but that's what I should have been doing was, should have been doing what the Bible tells me to do and the way the Bible tells me to live my life, which I'm still trying to live my life right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We all try.
So, anyways, they had started. Ashraf had said he was going to get Miguel to beat me up or something, and I had told him that I was like, dude, go get your boy. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, you know how men are.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, go get your boy. Like, I'll like, because Ashraf hasn't seen all the wars that we've been
Yeah.
in. He doesn't know how much on a very comparable level we are.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't know how much of a dog I am. And yeah, Miguel may have a better record than me, but I don't care what your record is. Look at my box rec and look at the fighters I fought. I fought a lot of undefeated fighters. In fact, I've beat 2 fighters that were both 7-0 with 5 knockouts, and one of them I knocked out. Got a TKO, actually. Should have been called a knockout in the first round when I knocked him down.
Yeah.
Knocked the guy down. Got 6 knockdowns in the fight. That was when I flew all the way to Florida by myself, no coach, and I did very well, man. Like something just clicked in me, and it was like, man, I got to hurt this guy, and so anyways, I just felt like, they had took whatever I had said and started, basically just construing what was said, and word got back to Danny and he was mad. But not once did Miguel ever reach out to me. So, right now in this moment, if they ever see this video, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what I said. I'm sorry for if you took anything the wrong way, but I feel like, hey, your journey's not over, and get back on the bike, get back on the bike and keep swinging it and keep training. Miguel is a warrior. I seen one of his last fights, and it was a war, dude. He did freaking awesome, man. And don't let your losses get you down. Any fighter, you know what I mean? What if you lose, get back up and you try again. You never lose. You either win or learn. And as long as you're not making the same mistakes and just going in there to get a paycheck, you're not really losing. You lose when you beat yourself. And there's been a couple of times where I can say, yeah, I beat myself, but it's admitting it and you got admitting it to yourself and realizing where you're wrong at. But what I can say is how I feel is that a lot of these fighters, not even just local fighters, but throughout the boxing community, there's a lot of fighters that take the easy way to building their record up and to building their name up. And yeah, I get it. It's a business. And honestly, I wish, or I think like, man, maybe that's the way I should have done it. I should have went and got fights in Mexico and got the easy way out, basically, or got the easy way to build myself up. But what happens when you face the first taste of adversity of a guy who really is a fighter, an actual dog in the ring? He may not have a crisp style. He may not have pedigree of a high amateur career, or he may not even have a good record. But what happens when you fight this guy and he's giving it to you and you're thinking, the first thought that goes through your mind is, damn, what's going on? What am I doing wrong? Well, I feel like what you did wrong was you took the easy way out of never putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation. You know what I mean? Nowadays, everybody wants to protect their O. And that's where boxing took a big decline. We're starting to see a comeback of great fighter and great fighter facing each other. Like this Cinco de Mayo, we're having some good fights. I think Cinco de Mayo weekend.
Yeah, with Ryan and all them, yes.
And all them, that those are good fights that people need to see. You know what I mean? Like for the longest time, I felt like Ryan was ducking Tank or Ryan was ducking Haney. Everybody was saying like, oh, these people are just ducking. They're ducking. Like, I get it's a business. You got to build up the fight. And that's what they're doing at the end of the day. Or like people will say, oh, Canelo's ducking Benavidez. But, I mean, people need to see those fights. People need to see, good fighters fighting each other. And don't be scared to get in there with somebody that has a good record. Somebody because a lot of the times you go to BoxRec and you look at these undefeated fighters, you do your homework on them, and you realize, man, these guys fought tomato cans. They fought taxi cab drivers. And that's the reason why I've taken a lot of the fights with people with good records that I've taken, because I did my homework, and I'm like, dude, these guys fought nobodies. I don't care what their record is. I don't care if I'm in their hometown. I know I have at the end of the day, it's me and them in there, and I got a fighting chance to win.
Yeah.
You know. But anyways, um,
Nah, man, you were always a good guy. I remember all those times me and you. We sparred
we've had some wars ourselves.
in our
We had some wars
amateur
ourselves.
at
Yeah.
times. I will always tell the story to people when they always ask me about you. Is one night, it was before we did I did my last amateur event. The night before I was hanging out with the Knicks for the beginning days of me talking to her, and I went to her mom's house, and I've never been a drinker. I never really been my thing. Could drink if I wanted to, but
Yeah.
just don't want to.
That's good.
And I went over there and to try to impress her. I had a good amount of drinks.
Okay.
Good amount of drinks. Let's just say.
That's
And
right.
I
You're
got
feeling
fucked up.
yourself. All
I got
right.
fucked up.
All right.
We'll admit that. And I remember Tilo telling me like Thursday or something I'm gonna spar somebody. He didn't tell me you. He just said I'm gonna spar somebody on Saturday. I was like, cool, it's fine with me. And I got really fucked up. I didn't even think about that. And I remember it came in, I saw you, and I was like, motherfucker, I'm sparring this guy.
No way.
I was like,
Oh,
fuck.
man.
He didn't know. He didn't know none of this. I got drunk.
Oh,
before, nothing.
man.
And I remember going, fuck. I had bought a bottle of Pedialyte.
Oh, man.
And I remember going, fuck. I had seen you, and we had never sparred each other before.
Oh,
But I had
wow.
seen you spar. And I was like, motherfucker, I go, fuck.
I hate
Okay.
that feeling.
I go, fuck, okay, let's see how this goes.
Yeah.
I was going to try to stick and move. But after one round, and I remember going in the corner and just going, I might throw up on this motherfucker. I can't stick and move because
I get
you were getting me.
Yeah, I get
And
you.
I'm fucking hungover as a motherfucker.
I get
And I'm
you.
like, and you're freshly like you're trying to prove a point.
Yeah.
And you
get you.
weren't nice at all.
I
You
was.
could hit.
I know. I was hungry
And,
back in the day.
And I just remember going, okay, there's two ways gonna happen here. I'm gonna continue trying to stick and moving. You're gonna either drop me off the body because you're attacking the body a lot, which you're supposed to, especially against I'm a taller guy, I'm a mover. You're gonna attack the body. I go, or I'm gonna have to plant his fucking feet. We're gonna have to fucking
And we
throw
just
a
gonna
little.
have to throw 'em, huh?
I go, and I'd never had seen nobody stand with you yet.
Yeah.
Every dude I had seen you spar was always moving.
Yeah.
So I really didn't know how you were in the pocket of like someone, because sometimes some dudes don't know who are used to just so going forward and forward and forward.
Yeah.
And when someone actually meets them, they don't really know how to react. If you
Yeah,
If you see
Exactly.
Triple G against when he fought Danny Jacobs, you
Yeah.
seen him go back on his back foot a little bit when someone was trying to fight him.
Yeah.
He knew how, but he like that. And I remember going, well, this is my best on your hope. I go, nah, because either I'm gonna throw up on his ass or I'm gonna get put down somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know. I remember we did about 4 or 5 rounds. I just stood there and I said, I remember afterwards I just laid down. I was like, I drank the Pedialyte and I said, fuck this shit. I'm never gonna spar mad again, hungover. I need to make sure on point if I'm sparring you.
Yeah, I've had my fair shares of making those mistakes, having some drinks after work, coming into the gym, and what do you know? People want sparring,
Yeah,
and it's like you're not as good as you're not on your A game, and like that goes back to like what I was saying, like never come into the ring, never come to the gym if your mind is not in it. If you come in like, I wouldn't even say if your mind isn't in it. Come in and go through the motions, but don't get in that ring. You know what I mean? That's my biggest thing. Is like, there's been a lot of times where I came in to practice and I wasn't even supposed to spar. It wasn't a sparring day, and
you jump in there and you're sparring.
Taylor would be like, "Hey, spar this guy," and I wasn't feeling the best. But me, I'm just like, all right, whatever. But that's when you get hit with shots that. And you don't even realize it, but in the training is when most of the damage happens. It's getting hit in the head over and over and over again. Yeah, you're wearing bigger gloves. Yeah, you have headgear on, but you're getting hit in the head who knows how many times a week, and it's not good for you. I think that you should be sparring at max 3 days a week. That's it. And I remember back in the day, bro, we'd be sparring every day. Almost every other day we'd be sparring, 4 or 5 days a week. And it's you're going to burn yourself out that way, Something I'm fighting right now is just my hands, dude. I feel like my hands are taking a crap on me, bro. Like when I first started boxing, I didn't really know how to wrap my hands the right way. There'd be a lot of times where I'd come to the gym and I'd forget my wraps, and I would just still be beating the crap out of the bag. And that's another thing for any young fighters or any fighters that are starting their career, dude. Make sure you protect your hands, bro. These are your money makers. Yeah. And the worst thing that could happen is getting in a fight and doubting how hard you're going to hit this guy, or if you're going to throw a punch full strength because you don't want to hurt your hand. And it's like that little split second hesitation is what's going to either get you caught or get you hurt or lose you the fight. And It's happened to me before. There's been a lot of times where I've hurt my hand in fights and wasn't able to either use the hand, and you can't show it. And that's what's made me a tougher fighter as well. Um, there was a fight, dude, when I fought Michael Myers. Not even Michael Myers. It happened when I fought him, but it also happened the first time it ever happened when I fought this guy, Omar Juarez. Shout out Omar, great dude. I fought him on PBC on Fox. It was my second fight, and in the first round, I got caught with a little check left hook, and it kinked my. I know we got to finish
Mhm.
up right now. Kinked my head in a weird position, and
Oh, I hate that.
and it,
I hate that shit.
bro. So I basically pinched a nerve in my neck, but it flared up my whole left arm, and I couldn't feel my arm. And I remember going back to the corner after that round. And I told Thilo, I was like, hey, dude, I can't feel my arm, and he's like, what do you want me to do about it? He's like, you want to stop the fight? I'm like, nah. And he's like, well, then shut the fuck up, fight. And I did. And dude, it was that was some adversity I had to learn how to overcome, is being hurt in the middle of a match, and still persevering through it. That really kind of gave me some thicker skin, as far as, like, in my next fights, because I've been hit with a shot. It might not even be a hook. It could be a jab. And if it kinks your head in the wrong direction, you could pinch a nerve. At least for me, I got that injury the first time, my last wrestling match of my senior year.
Mhm.
I went to take a shot, and the guy sprawled out on me, and it pushed my head back in the wrong direction. And ever since then, I've always got that same flare up. And when I experienced that after my second fight, I realized, like, all right, I've been here before. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, the feeling's gonna come back. But it's weird when you get in there and you get something happens that you're not used to happening, and you don't know how to deal with it. You know what I mean? If you're hurt, don't sit there and try and stand with this guy. Get on your bike and move. Use your feet. Tilo would always tell me, feet don't let your feet fail. Your feet don't
Yeah.
fail me now.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. If you realize you're short on breath, you realize you're hurt, get on that bike and move. There's nothing wrong with moving. That's what boxing is.
Yeah.
Use the ring. You've got a big ring.
I don't know, that's
Anyways,
happened to me. I never got it to that level where I felt my arm, but I would feel it. And for the most part, I would always just go. Nobody had to tell me. I just went, well, fucking move, dumbass.
yeah,
Move.
move.
Move a little bit. Nobody
Yeah.
says stand right there, because I felt it. It's a very weird, horrible feeling
Uh-huh.
of
Yep.
getting. I've fucked up my hands in there, and you just move a little. You just don't throw that hand for a little while.
Yeah.
Beat up rib or something. You felt a little shoulder ache or something. You just go, okay, hold on. Let's just not throw it for a couple minutes. Let's move around.
Yeah.
But that neck one, when you get the little pinch here off
Yeah.
a shot, it's like, oh shit.
Oh yeah, it sucks.
That one, that one.
It sucks. It's almost debilitating. The last time it happened to me, I was sparring George Acosta in here, and he caught me with a shot that did that, and it flared up bad. I literally fell on the ground and was rolling, and like it hurt so bad. That was the last time it happened to me.
I always try to tell the kids, man, just sometimes you'll throw a punch correctly with the head. That person's head might move in a weird angle, and you fuck up a thumb or something.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Keep pushing.
Yeah.
You can't, because in the fight you're not gonna go, oh, hold on, time.
Yeah.
No, you put your hand up, don't show it, just keep moving.
Yeah.
Pump that, like you said. If it's a right hand, pump that jab in. Throw that hook at them. Move around a little bit until you get a little bit of a feeling. The adrenaline will kick it back in.
Yeah. So as far as upcoming fights, really quick before we wrap it up, June 8th, I'm hoping, God willing, to be fighting in Pachanga, down at Pachanga Casino and Resort, for Christy Martin. She's usually fighting or putting on events out on the East Coast, but
She's getting a movie
yes, she is
with that famous actress,
Yes.
Muni Sweetie or whatever her name is.
Yes.
Doing a biopic on her. That's pretty cool.
Go check out that, because she's got a crazy story. If you guys don't know who Christy Martin is, she's a hell of a woman. She's been through a lot. She's a true fighter.
I met her one time in Bakersfield when they threw an event here.
She's super cool. So yeah, she's going to be coming out to California, putting on an event out here, and God willing, I'll be on that event June 8th. So yeah, stay tuned for a comeback for sure.
I just want to say thank you, man. I appreciate it. You've always been a good dude. I've told you this many times. I always appreciated when you would come in here as a pro fighter, helping a lot of the kids out, giving them advice, giving some rounds.
Yeah.
helping them out. I've always appreciated because
Appreciate it.
I've met some top dudes that don't do it. They think their shit don't stink, and you weren't ever like that, man. You were always a cool dude.
Thank you, Joel.
A lot of hell of
Appreciate it.
rounds, but hey, always appreciate it, man.
Thank you,
Thank
bro.
you, man.
Take it easy.